Yo, what's up, guys? We're back for another breakdown. This week it's going to be UFC 222. But real quick, I want to go over the event on this past Saturday, Emmett versus Stevens, and it was a pretty good event. It was pretty fun to watch. We went 8-4 on our picks, so that was pretty good as well. And we actually, kept it rolling on the most confident pick, and we actually, as well. I lost the parlay of the week, but I gave you guys a underdog parlay that actually cashed, in which I said that Marion Renault, Brian Kelleher, and Ilir Latifi would have been good picks. So I hope maybe some of you guys tailed that one instead of the most confident or the parlay of the week. There was a lot of pretty good fights here. Manny Bermudez debuted against Albert Morales, and he was able to kind of do what we thought he would do. First round was really pretty active in a submission game, was able to get Albert Morales down early, able to really threaten with a lot of submissions, but Morales was actually able to, get out at the end of the round and land a lot of damage. Actually had him, on his back, and he was landing some hard hammer fists in that round, so that round was pretty close. You could have given it to, either one for that round, but then in that second round, Morales was looking really good. Actually, he had Bermudez, just looking like he was a little bit lost on the feet. I feel like Bermudez is definitely one of those jiu-jitsu guys where if you can survive his initial explosion and then just not be stupid like Morales was here, where he got caught in the guillotine. It was a beautiful guillotine. Actually, you could tell that Bermudez definitely has a very good submission game. But I just think that he's one of these guys that if he doesn't get the submission, I don't think he'll have much success, in terms of getting the win if he doesn't get that submission early. But for Albert Morales, man, he had a great UFC run. I think it's probably going to come to an end. But, he fought a lot of hard, tough guys and really had a good showing for himself. But up next, we had Alex Perez against Eric Shelton, and that was a pretty decent fight. Alex Perez kind of dominated all three rounds. Kind of what I thought, man. I just thought that Shelton was just never going to get out of second gear. Perez was just going to be able to do a little bit more control, and that's kind of what he did, man. He was just able to just control all the actions and just kind of win the fight. Shelton was never really able to really step it up to that next year. And for Eric Shelton, I don't know, man. I think that he's kind of in a weird position here because you could tell that he's very talented. He has some close fights, but it's just like it's hard to imagine keeping that guy around much longer if he's losing all these fights like this very close. But for Alex Perez, that's a 2-0 start for the UFC, and he's looking like he's a pretty good prospect here. But he did miss weight, so he has to get that under control. But up next, we had Hani Yahya against Russell Doan, and I just really misread this one, man. Hani Yahya absolutely dominated this fight. He's able to get takedowns early and often, and just work his submission game, man. That first round, he had a nasty position on him. I don't even know. I guess it was like a full Nelson type position. It looked extremely uncomfortable, But Russell Doan was able to survive. He made it to that third round, and then he got tapped out in that third round, and Hani Yahya really jumped on that arm triangle, and he's just a beast, man. His mom passed away 10 days before the fight, so have a lot of respect for him. He's really been a pioneer in that 135-pound division. I think now he's 6-1 in his last 7 UFC fights. I mean, can't really hate on the guy, man. He has one of the best records in the division at 135. And then up next, Sam Alvey versus Marcin Prachnio, man. And I don't know, man. Prachnio just doesn't seem like he's a UFC level guy. He was, came in, was just going straight forward, straight back. Didn't really have, much footwork. And Alvey was just able to time a right hand, dropped him, and tried to go for a choke, but I think that he probably could have got the choke, but he let it go, and Prachnio just got up, hands down, completely hurt, and lack of IQ, man, lack of experience in there, and he just walked forward and got dropped again and knocked the fuck out, man. And for Sam Alvey, that was a really good first fight at 205. And since 205 is so shallow, I could see him getting a decent matchup, next. And we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm not saying Sam Alvey's going to do anything in that division, but... And then up next, Alan Juban versus Ben Saunders, and what a fucking fight this was, man, right? I mean, Alan Juban came out, a lot of kicks, a lot of straight punches, just kind of doing his thing, man. But Sanders was making it tough for him, man. Sanders was pushing him back. Sanders was finding some nice right hands. I think that he kind of rocked Alan a little bit. And, I think that Caleb actually had a decent first round, but Saunders was just a little bit crisper on the feet the whole time, a little bit cleaner. And in that second round, that finish was just nasty, man. Devastating straight left, and Saunders just falls down, folds, man. It was just like brutal. His eyes were glazed over. And that sucks for Ben Saunders, man. He's really a warrior. He's been a UFC fighter for a long time, and I think it's coming to an end for Ben Saunders, man. I mean, he's been getting hurt really bad in a lot of his fight recently. He's gotten TKO'd 2 times in a row now. And I hope someone sits him down, talks to him, and maybe you could start to reevaluate things, because I really don't like seeing him taking a lot of excess punishment, man. But up next, we had Angela Hill versus Marina Moroz, and this was a pretty straightforward fight for Angela Hill. She was able to just use her speed while she was landing combinations, landing right hands over the top, nice leg kicks. And she was clearly aggressor all night. She was moving forward, ducking under. She had a nice spinning back fist, and she was able to actually be the one that was looking for her own takedown. She was searching for body locks, searching for single legs, and she really looked pretty good in my opinion. I thought she won 30-27 straight across the board, and I thought she was just able to push the pace. I thought in that third round she didn't gas quite as bad as she did against Nina Ansaroff, and Angela Hill looked good, man. I'm a fan of Angela Hill. I think that I don't think she's an upper echelon fighter, but she's a fun fighter. She can put on really fun fights, fun performances. This fight was not memorable, but I just don't think Marina Moroz is a good dance partner in there for anyone, man. I think she likes to throw it air a lot. She's Kian, Huan, and just, I don't know, man. Not a fighter that I like to watch. But moving on to a fight that I really liked was Marion Renault versus Sarah McMahon. That was awesome, man. To see Marion get that win, see her, let out that emotion with that scream at the end of that fight. You could tell it meant really a lot to her. And 40 years old, man, she's still doing it, man. That's 3 finishes in her last 4 fights. She's a beast, man. She really, that first round she got taken down. I was kind of getting a little nervous because McMahon got right to side control, and that was a problem, man, because got the crucifix, was just able to land some right hands, land some pretty big ground and pound, especially near the end of that round. She was able to land a lot of big ground and pound at the end of the round, and almost had it stop, man. I thought that, Kevin McDonald might have walked in and was going to stop it, but he let him keep going. And in that second round, McMahon was throwing a lot of shots from far out where she was missing really bad. And I feel like Renault started to kind of see that, and she started to gain confidence because she saw that Sarah didn't want to come into striking range. She landed a hard counter right hand, dropped her, and, McMahon started panic wrestling. Renault was sprawling really well and just denying the shots, landing a lot of Travis Brown-type elbows to the head. And, McMahon finally got the single leg, and then Renault locked in that triangle, and it was like McMahon didn't even try to defend him, and it was so weird. She even took her arm out to let her put it across. It was, I don't know, man. I feel like she kind of just gave up there. And Marion Renault was just tougher than Sarah McMahon. She was just tougher, and she just wanted it more, man, and she took it from her. And Sarah McMahon is just a quitter. I really feel like she just doesn't face adversity very well. And, that's 2 losses in a row for her now. And at 37, I'm really curious what she wants to do next, because it's going to take a whole hell of a lot for her to get, back in that title mix. But up next, we had Brian Kelleher against Henan Barao, and this was a really fun fight as well, man. Brian Kelleher is a fun guy to watch. I actually thought he won that fight 30-27, but Barao did have a solid first round. He's able to land some leg kicks, but every single time that Kelleher started to feel like Barao was gaining some momentum on the feet, he would put him in that clinch, push him against the cage. Did a good job of, getting the double underhooks, getting the underhook, and just turning him, pushing him against the cage, and just being the aggressor, landed elbows, dropping for takedowns. He got a couple takedowns. Didn't really get anything off the takedowns, but just kind of made Barao work. And you could tell by that third round that Barao was really tired and just done, man. I thought Kelleher easily could have got the finish. He was landing some huge left hands. Like, I think if there was another 5-10 seconds, that fight would have been over, because the way Barao was reacting to the last few of those punches was just like, he wasn't even defending, man. He was starting to stand straight up, just starting to look the other direction. It was, Brian Kelleher beat his ass, man. That was the closest, that was like as much as you could beat someone up without finishing them. And Kelleher announced himself, man, called out John Lineker, and shit, I would watch that. That's violence personified right there. And who's going to not come forward? Who's going to stop coming forward? Who's going to get fucked up? I don't know. We got to see, and definitely would watch that. For Barao, I don't know, man. It's tough. I don't know if he wants to keep going with this. I feel like he just hasn't had a good performance since TJ Dillashaw, man, and it's a shame. He's one of the best of all time, but he's really starting to lose to guys that he shouldn't lose to. But up next, Mike Perry against Max Griffin, and just a terrible read on this fight on my part. Mike Perry, I thought, looked like he regressed quite a bit. He was just trying to get the knockout early. I thought that in his other fights, especially against Santiago Ponzinibbio, he was a little bit better at trying to be patient, landing that side kick, not, winding up fully and really loading up on all his shots. And he just reverted right back in this fight. It's like he didn't respect Max Griffin. Maybe he thought that he was going to get him out of there easily. And, Griffin came with a good game plan, man. He didn't brawl with him, moving, using footwork, landing his jab, feinting a lot, throwing a lot of kicks, picking his shots. And, just remained patient and just tagged him. And he was beating the shit out of Perry for those first 2 rounds. And I actually thought that Mike Perry, at the end of that first round, he took him down, took his back very easily. And I thought that he should have kept going with that, man. I think that if he did keep going with that grappling, it could have been a different fight. I thought he had a big advantage there, but he decided not to. And, I'm still always going to have to watch a Mike Perry fight. Never gave up, was walking through some bombs, man. And in that third round, he made it fun as hell, man. He started throwing some huge shots. Had Griffin looking like he was kind of rocked, kind of worried a little bit. And thought he took that third round, but too little too late, man. And Max Griffin took that 29-28. And Max Griffin kind of catapulted himself there. He was 1-2 in the UFC. Got that win. Now he's only 2-2, but he beat a guy with a huge name, huge fanfare, and I think that's going to jump him up right into a, top 15 matchup. So good for Max Payne. And for Mike Perry, he still has a lot of time to, he has a lot of time to get better, a lot of time to improve. I think that his physical gifts are there. I think that his mind is there. I think that he's pretty analytical with the way that he talks about fighting, but he just hasn't turned that over into his actual in-cage performances, man. But he's saying the right things. I think that he'll get it turned around. I have faith in Mike Perry. But up next, man, what a performance by Ilir Latifi. Rocks Ovince St. Preux, gets that guillotine and chokes him out, man, drops him. And that was a really scary finish. And Ilir Latifi's a beast, man. That guy really can explode on you early. At the first round, he's extremely dangerous. And, Ovince paid the cost, man. I was actually a little bit worried about Ilir at first because he was staying on the outside, throwing a lot of kicks. He wasn't really moving inside. He wasn't trying to go for any takedowns. But, he knew better than me, man. When he landed that overhand, had Ovince on wobbly legs and just jumped on that guillotine, man. Just dropped him face first. And, for Ilir Latifi, he has won 2 in a row, he's won 5 out of his last 6 fights, and, time to give him a top 5 guy. I think him versus Glover Teixeira would be a good matchup. That would be fun to watch, and sign me up for that. And for Ovince St. Preux, a step back, a roadblock for him, and, he's still always going to be extremely fun to watch. He's a finisher, someone with name value, so not a huge setback for Ovince. But, Jessica Andrade versus Tisha Torres, basically what I thought, man. It was just the first round, actually, Tecia Torres, I thought, did very well. She was able to counter, able to use some footwork, more volume, was tagging Andrade with some nice 1-2s. But you could tell towards the end of that round that Andrade's hooks were starting to give Torres some pause for cause, man, and she was starting to really worry about him, really back up. And once she started backing up against the fence, it was over, man, because once she started doing that, Andrade was able to get that clinch, able to slam her, and it was just crazy, man. She was picking her up, throwing her. I mean, once again, man, Jessica Andrade just looks like an absolute monster at 115. It seems like no one can contend with her, and man, she's gonna be waiting for that winner of Rose versus Joanna again. We're gonna see what's gonna happen, and for Tecia Torres, thought it was a good performance. I thought she did better than I expected, actually, and don't think it should move her too far back, actually. I think that she's still right in there. I think she's still one of the top 5 girls in that division. And then up next, man, Jeremy Stephens just killed another man. He killed someone else. He fucked someone else up. Another knockout. I mean, what else can you say about that guy? That guy is a beast. He's one of the best in the division, man. I keep telling you guys, I really like his newfound skills on the feet, man. He's just a hammer. It, takes the center of that cage. Really nice counter uppercuts. Right hooks to the body. I mean, he really varies it up. Really solid combinations. Incredible chin, man. Really great chin. He got dropped by Emmett and was able to get back up and, just survive and move forward, man, in that second round. He landed that left hook. That left hook was just terrible, man. Really bad. Just dropped him. And then landed probably about 5 elbows to his head after it landed, man. He landed an illegal knee as well. Didn't really land, but I just think that Jeremy Stephens is the king of fucking knockouts where he's hitting you after you're unconscious with ground and pound, man. He's a savage. Josh Emmett had to get taken out in a stretcher. You never want to see that from anyone. And Jeremy Stephens is just a savage, man. He called out Max Holloway, said he wanted that fight, and I don't know. I'm not sure if he'll get that. Maybe I was thinking what a great fight would be him versus Korean Zombie, but I'm not sure Korean Zombie's health right about now. I'm not sure about that, but definitely it was right up there, man. He had a great fight with Frankie Edgar where he was able to drop Frankie. So Jeremy Stephens is a beast, man. Definitely someone to reckon with, and he's one of he's gonna be in the UFC Hall of Fame one day, in my opinion. Even though he has the most losses, he's gonna have the most fights as well, and one of the best highlight reel knockouts in MMA, man. So, but alright, man, we're gonna move on to UFC 222, and the first fight of the night, Jordan Johnson versus Adam Milstead. And this is actually going to be one of my most confident picks of the night. I'm really leaning heavily towards Jordan Johnson. Adam Milstead's making the drop to 205 pounds after Curtis Blades basically threw him out of division, just suplexed him out of the division. Always was small for heavyweight. He has a good frame for light heavyweight. And extremely green, in my opinion. Boxer, throws no kicks at all. Even when they're giving him to him, like Chris De La Rocha was just giving him that front leg. He just didn't take it at all, didn't want it. He is a solid athlete, fast hand speed, explosion, but not very good striking, very open, can get countered, really wild with the shots, isn't good at setting them up, very impatient, can start to throw wild, if you're not throwing with him, he gets impatient, he can't really play that counter game. Chin too high in the air, in my opinion. I think he's susceptible to body shots as well. And against Rocha, man, he gassed after 2 minutes, and I thought that stoppage was just pretty bogus. He stopped him on the feet just because he was taking a lot of shots, but it's not like Rocha was quitting. And in round 2, he barely threw any strikes. He was just trying to time and counter one big shot, but he doesn't really have KO power. And against Curtis Blades, he got completely destroyed. Never really got a chance to get started. Just got ragdolled from the beginning. Showed decent ability to defend off his back. He was able to stand up from bottom a couple times. But sustained a major knee injury in that fight. And this is his first fight in a little over a year off. And Jordan Johnson is a 2-time Division I All-American wrestler. He's still pretty green with his striking as well, but he's much further along than Milstead, and his wrestling is elite. He's getting better at using movement, not being so stationary, and he has tight defense. He'll be judicious with the shots. He doesn't open up a lot. Sometimes he'll come in wild so he can get into the clinch. And he grinds against the cage very well. He's a no-gi jiu-jitsu world champion, so has good submissions. He pumps out a jab, has a long reach, a great gas tank as well for the division. He showed a good chin versus Fortuna. Extremely confident. He has a swagger about him. And I just don't see very many paths to victory for Adam Milstead unless it's a flash KO. And I just think Jordan Johnson will get Milstead down early and often. And I think he's going to get his first UFC finish. I think he's going to get a finish by ground and pound in round 3. And that's one of my most confident picks of the night there. And then up next you have Brian Caraway against Cody Stamann. And UFC's gotten Brian Caraway out of his hole, man. He's coming out to fight again. Hasn't fought since his grudge match with Aljamain Sterling. And that was a long time ago, man. I think that was, May of 2016. So almost 2 years now that he's going to be fighting, 1 year, 10 months. And a lot of things have changed since that fight. He lost his coach, Robert Follis. Unfortunately, Robert Follis committed suicide. And, Misha Tate, his girlfriend as well, who's in his corner. So there's 2 corner people that aren't going to be in his corner this fight. And I'm sure he's looking for a higher profile opponent. But, his propensity to turn down fights, try to pick and choose his way to a title, kind of lost momentum for him, I think, and that's why he's fighting Cody Stamann. And Caraway has a very awkward striking style. He's aggressive. He'll walk forward, throw looping hooks, but not the fastest guy. He has a decent left hook. Doesn't throw many kicks, but he's just a crafty guy, man. You'll land awkward punches. In the clinch, he'll land some uppercuts, and he just comes forward pressure, and he breaks people with forward pressure. But he's mainly a grappler. He has okay wrestling, good timing on his shots. On top, he's always searching for chokes. He'll attack with rear naked chokes, guillotines, and he's gritty. He'll never quit. Great cardio, solid chin. Against Aljamain Sterling, he got 10-8 or 10-9 in that first round. Could have been a 10-8, and came back, won the last 2 rounds, and took the decision. So he's definitely someone that you're gonna have to break. You can't. Or you're going to have to beat him. You can't break him. And he's had some pretty good fights as well against other guys like Eddie Wineland, where he was able to beat him on the feet. And a lot of people weren't expecting that. But, Caraway is definitely pretty similar fighter to Cody Stamann, I actually think. But I think Caraway might be a little bit more dangerous with the submission game. But I'd argue that Stamann's a better wrestler. He does a great job of diving and just driving through double legs. He has a really nice double jab overhand. And he'll do the double jab, then takedown when he gets you thinking about the overhand. And I just think he's more athletic than Brian Caraway, has crisper striking skills. And he's extremely confident. He's someone that I don't think will get broken either. I think both these guys are going to fight tooth and nail. And he fought a better striker in his last fight in Tom Duquesnoy. And although he lost the stand-up, it was close. And I think he's more powerful, more athletic than Brian Caraway. And I think he'll come forward. I think he's going to throw good kicks, hard punches, time takedowns at the end of the rounds. And I think he's going to do a good job of winning points. And I think he has a good cardio. He has a great chin. And I think it's actually going to be a dominant victory for Cody Stamann. I think he's going to win a dominant decision here, 30-27 across the board. And I just think that he's just a better version of Brian Caraway, man. And up next, we have a fight that's very odd. Zach Ottow against Mike Pyle. And Mike Pyle's almost been doing this for 20 years, man. Fighting in the UFC in 2018, he debuted 19 years ago in 1999 against Rampage. So, throughout his career, he's shown flashes of brilliance, good striking, elite jiu-jitsu, but he could never really put it all together against top-level guys, He's known for being one of the best fighters in the gym. He's beaten up a lot of guys in the gym, really skilled, and he has had a great career. I'm not trying to take anything away from him. Former WEC welterweight champion, 10-8 in the UFC, 7 UFC finishes, but he's 42 years old now, lost 4 out of 5, and he got clean KO'd in his last 2 fights. He has a bad habit of standing tall, leaning back to avoid punches, It makes him really susceptible to overhands. And he really struggles with starting slow, getting KO'd early. His striking offense is actually pretty good. He has nice kicks, throw teeps to the body. Has good hands, good variety with the shots. Spinning elbow KO against Sean Spencer at 40. Nasty knees and elbows in the clinch. He gets better as the fight goes on. He starts to get timing, start to read you, and he'll start to land takedowns, start to wear on you. Off his back, he's tricky with submissions. He'll attack with guillotines, triangles, arm bars. He does a solid job of protecting himself on his back, too. But he's very willing to stay on his back. He could lose rounds that way. He actually has very good cardio for being 41, and he can turn it on in round 3. He uses a lot of movement. He tries to stick and move, stay long. He isn't very active after he gets rocked. He kind of starts to shell up. And he's been knocked out absolutely brutally in his last 2 fights, man. Alberto Mina landed a sick flying knee. And Garcia landed one of the cleanest overhands you're ever going to see. And he really showed nothing in his last 2 fights. Landed 2 strikes against Alberto Mina and 5 strikes against Alex Garcia. And his chin is just completely gone. Zach Ottow is another lower level welterweight, but solid athlete, good frame. Good point fighting game, throw leg kicks, land nice straight punches and jabs. He could switch stances well and also has decent takedown skills. But he has questionable jiu-jitsu. But he has very good takedown defense. His last fight he got knocked out in China by Li Jingliang. He's a solid scrambler, in good shape, good cardio, good powerful athlete. I think that he has nice straight punches. And I just think Mike Pyle's done, man. And I think that Zach Ottow's going to catch him early on that first round and just knock him out. I think Mike Pyle's at that, Takanori Gomi status. He's at that Josh Berkman status that we saw very recently. And I think someone needs to sit him down and say, hey, man, enough's enough, And especially at his age, man, 42 years old, getting knocked out cold like that, that's probably not very good for your health, man. He's been knocked out, actually, in 4 of his last 5 losses. So, I'm definitely going to go Zach Ottow in that one. Then up next, we have CB Dalloway against Hector Lombard. And this is a really interesting fight, man. CB Dalloway is making his return to 185 after his one fight at light heavyweight versus Ed Herman. And in that fight, he looked a little sloppy. He gassed out. So it's good that he's coming back to 185. He's been extremely inactive lately in his career. He is a well-rounded guy. He likes to throw some nice leg kicks, decent hands, but he's stationary and hittable. Definitely chinny. He's been TKO'd 4 times. And every time he steps up in competition, he loses, man. His best win is probably much past his prime Mayhem Miller after Mayhem lost to Michael Bisping. And CB needs to get takedowns. He needs to get ground and pound and submission attempts to be successful, especially against Lombard. I think he's going to be much slower, less explosive on the feet. And he's been a bit of a decision machine in the UFC. Early in his career, he showed flashes of being a contender, but he never really beat a high-level guy in his career. And he's usually gotten run over, actually, when he gets to that point. He got finished by Lyoto Machida very quickly, KO'd by Nate Marquardt, dominated by Tim Bosch, KO'd by Mark Munoz. He actually got TKO'd by Jared Hammond as well, who's, not a very good fighter. Actually had a lot of losses in the UFC, and, Tom Lawler submitted him. Amir Sadala submitted him twice. So, every time he kind of steps up to that even mid-level range, like Amir Sadala, a Nate Marquardt, a Tim Bosch, he seems like he can't get over that hump, man. But, Lombard is much past his prime, but he has shown to still be dangerous, especially early. He rocked Magny, Hendo, and Anthony Smith, the last 3 fights he's had, all in the first round. Looked very good with leg kicks versus Anthony Smith. He was attacking both inside and outside with the leg kicks and trying to time counters as Smith punched. His chin is gone, though, and he will get clipped and gets gun-shy. Starts to make mistakes. He's beat Smith 2-0 and got caught in that 3rd round after he gassed out. But the people who have beat him have been much higher level than Dalloway. And Lombard has a nice overhand right. He could rock you with it, swarm when he hurts you. Definitely still got that killer instinct. He'll go for the kill when he has you hurt. Both guys fade late. Both guys have questionable chins. And both guys are fading. So I'm just going to go with the overall better fighter and better athlete. And I think that's Hector Lombard. And I'm going to say Lombard by first round TKO. But that fight could go either way, man. That fight can go a lot of ways. And I just don't think CB is going to be successful trying to take down Hector Lombard, man. But up next, John Dodson versus Pedro Munoz. And we're just going to go over this one pretty quickly because, we already did this one already. And I'm going to keep on what I did before. I'm going to go with John Dodson. I just think he's extremely fast, extremely explosive. Use a lot of short explosions, single punch counters. Definitely has KO power. He can sleep you. He likes to stay outside in boxing range, but close enough to kick, and he'll be fast enough to get out of the way of a lot of Pedro's counters. I think Dodson doesn't really commit to his kicks. He just throws those fast, low kicks, feints, gets you kind of frustrated that he's not coming forward. And then when you don't expect it, he blitzes in with an explosive counter, especially with left hand and really good speed. Works to the body with the left hook. And really just a great, phenomenal defensive wrestler, anti-wrestler. Really haven't seen anyone that's been able to take him down and ground him. Great cardio, a good chin as well, never been finished. And Pedro Munoz is a guy that pressure fighter, brings the action, heavy hooks, hard body kicks. But if you get it moving backwards, I don't think he's nearly as effective. He likes to unload with heavy hooks, has a stiff jab, good takedown defense himself, and his forward pressure is kind of what makes people want to shoot on him, and that's when he wraps up the guillotine. Really amazing guillotine, one of the best in the UFC. He doesn't have great striking defense. He gets hit with clean shots, but his chin is fantastic. His cardio is fantastic. Really solid high kick as well. He doesn't really look to grapple or wrestle much in his fights offensively, but like against Rob Font, landed a hard hook, rocks him, and then gets the guillotine. But I just think this is a good matchup for John Dodson. I think he's going to be able to wait for Munoz, come in and counter. I think he's going to be able to land hard left hand, stick to his game plan, never put himself in position to be guillotined. And I could see Dodson getting his first TKO finish since 2016, man. I really can, but I'm going to go with a decision victory for John Dodson here. And then up next, we have Ashley Yoder versus Mackenzie Dern. And they're just feeding Ashley Yoder to the wolves here, man. Here's a long-awaited debut of Mackenzie Dern. She's a world jiu-jitsu champion. Shown flashes of brilliance in her early UFC career, 5-0, 3 submissions. On the ground, she's going to have a massive advantage against virtually anyone at 115. Her guard is amazing, which is very problematic for Yoder, who's predominantly a wrestler. Dern has also shown improved striking. In her Invicta debut against Madero, she was throwing a very nice overhand right, decent hooks in combination. She has power on her shots, good forward pressure, killer instinct. Throws a nice left high kick, left kick to the body. Good overhand right to left high kick combo as well. And in the clinch, she's very dangerous because she'll grab onto the neck, try to go for guillotines. She doesn't have great takedowns, but she can bull rush and bully you if necessary, get the takedown. She's only 24. She's showing huge leaps of improvement fight to fight, so expect that to continue in this fight. Dern has good cardio as well. She tries the head and arm throw in the clinch a lot, which I don't really like because it exposes your back. She sometimes doesn't set her kicks up. She can get countered, but she is extremely aggressive on the feet. And Yoder is a wrestler who has good scrambles. She likes to attack with trips, snatch singles, but her takedown game is overall pretty average. And on top, she can be a bit of a blanket. Doesn't have huge ground and pound. She'll try to dive on things, try to dive on your back or your neck. That's why they call her the spider monkey. She can get over anxious and really bad IQ, I think. Like, she tried to dive on Angela Hill's back and got reversed and beat up in her guard. Her striking is very green. She'll throw a jab and a hook, but never throws in combination. She throws front kicks to the body, but they just aren't powerful. Keeps her head on the center line. She just isn't aggressive standing as Dern is either. And this should be an easy fight for Mackenzie Dern. She has better striking already than Yoder. She'll be able to pressure Yoder, get her uncomfortable on the feet. And Yoder will do what she, feels comfortable with, and that's dive in for a takedown. I think it'll be an ill-advised shot, and I think Mackenzie Dern will get the finish here on Ashley Yoder by second round submission. And that's an extremely confident pick for me as well, because I just don't see Ashley Yoder having much of a path to victory at all. And then up next here, we have Kat Zingano versus Ketlin Vieira, and a very, very intriguing fight at 135, man. Kat Zingano's returning. I'm pretty excited for her return. Hasn't fought in a very long time, actually probably a year, and lost 2 straight. She's been pretty inactive since joining the UFC. She's only fought 4 times in 5 years, and she's fought 1 time per year in 2013, 2014, 2015, and 2016, and she hasn't fought since. And but she has fought the 3 biggest names in UFC bantamweight history, and she's 2-1 against them, man. So you can't hate, you know. She beat Miesha Tate and Amanda Nunes by TKO, and got that loss to Rousey. But she also had a loss to Juliana Pena, where she just didn't really look like herself. She's had a lot of injuries and personal problems in her career, but she says she's in a better place now. She's looking great on social media. She looks like she's in great shape. She's been training with Alliance for this fight, and she's just very physically strong and aggressive for the division. Former college wrestler, and she does her best work on top of ground and pound. Good top control, and she's hard to get out from under her. She has good clinch takedowns and good double leg, and when she gets a dominant position on the ground, she'll rain down vicious elbows and punches. She's a great belly-to-belly suplex, clinch slam takedowns. She was able to take down and bully Juliana Pena early, but she just got out-scrambled, out-positioned on the ground in a close fight. She comes hard in round 3. She could take a beating and come back from adversity. Good standing elbows, good knees. She can get too aggressive on the feet and slip, give up position, or get countered. She'll make you fight the whole time. You'll get no break. She has great cardio. Her jiu-jitsu game is okay, but she definitely needs to improve in that. She was giving up position against Juliana Pena a lot. And Ketlin Vieira is a Nova União product who's a big, strong bantamweight. She has questionable takedown defense in round 1. She was dominated, mounted, and hit with some ground and pound by Sarah McMahon. She didn't seem to be great off her back. She struggled to defend elbows in the clinch and to control posture. She seems strong and tough to take down. Will continue to fight. She'll never break. And this is a fight between 2 bad chicks, man. They're not going to break. They're going to keep coming forward. And on the feet, Vieira throws hard hooks. She'll come forward, walk it through shots. She's a big bantamweight, so is Kat. She'll land some hard shots of her own. She's a bit plodding, marches forward and back in straight lines, but she has big pop on her punches, and you could tell that when she hits you, the girls feel it. You know, she has good judo. Used a nice trip to take down Sarah McMahon from the clinch, and showed a really amazing squeeze on her arm triangle because she was able to finish it from half guard. She's very heavy on top. She searched for subs. And this is a very hard fight for me to pick. Whoever gets on top, I think, is winning this fight. And I would say the stand-up is very close. But I would say Vieira has a stand-up advantage. I'll say Kat's wrestling will be too much. She'll slam Vieira a lot. And I'll say she gets a 2-1 decision. But that's an extremely close fight. It could go either way. And then up next we have the big boys, Stefan Struve against Andrei Arlovsk. And Andrei Arlovsk has 9 lives, man. He keeps coming back. He looked great in his last fight, throwing nice combos, going body head, nice leg kicks and head kicks, fast entries with his straight and his jab. He was hitting to the body very well, using angles and movement, really fighting in a different way. He was going over and around with his guard, or over and around Albini's guard with punches, throwing Superman punches, spinning back fist. Had a solid gas take throughout as well. Still has big power, and if you come in on him reckless, he can knock you out. Decent trip takedown game. And we'll work on top, and against the cage in his new form, you know, he really likes now to clinch you up a bit more than he used to. He gasses out a bit after heavy clinch work, though. And he hasn't gotten knocked out in his last 2, but his chin is still very questionable. He still seems to have the will and want to keep going, man. He isn't gun shy or not throwing punches. And he's still incorporating new techniques, like he said in his last fight. Looked very good, man. Throwing a lot of combinations, a lot of boxing combinations, a lot of feints, a lot of movement. And, really came in there in shape. You could tell he came in shape at all point. And Stefan Struve is another heavyweight. He's kind of like middle tier, like Arlovsk now. He's someone that's fading as well. He's the tallest fighter in UFC history, and he's gotten better at using his length over his career. Throws a nice snap front kick to the body, solid step in knee. He'll throw some straight punches. He still doesn't have the best striking. He's a bit slow and stiff, doesn't move his head. He's always been susceptible to overhands, and he's been KO'd a bunch of times. He's been TKO'd 7 times, and Arlovski's been KO'd 10 times. So both guys definitely have a lot of wear and tear on their chins, and both guys are finishers, man. Arlovski has 11 UFC finishes, and Struve has 10. Struve's always struggled with short guys who can get on his legs, work him in the clinch, and take him down. He's actually a better grappler than he is a striker, though. I think he's long, does a good job of manipulating bodies with his size and reach to land on top. He does a good job of getting the back and then the mount. Great chokes. Nice anaconda against Daniel Malanchik. Struve's never had a win versus in their prime top 15 heavyweight in his entire career. He's defeated the likes of Daniel Malanchik, completely washed up Bigfoot Silva, Nogueira, very green Stipe. But he has a nice uppercut, throws solid kicks to the body and the head, heavy pressure, and he actually doesn't work moving backwards well at all, even though he's so tall. He uses a jump knee to the body a lot. He really struggled defending ground and pound against Volkov, and he had a problem where he just backs up and covers up against the cage. And I just really didn't like seeing that when he's backing up and covered up against the cage. That's how he's got finished. And this is a very difficult fight to pick as well, but I'm going to go with Andrei Arlovski by TKO, man. I think that I just don't like the way Stefan Struve reacts to those shots when he backs up against the cage, he just covers up. And I'm going to go with second round TKO for Andrei Arlovski. And up next we have Sean O'Malley versus Andre Soukhamthath. And Sean O'Malley is a bit of a hype train. He's coming off the Dana White Contender Series. Flashy striker, uses a lot of movement, keeps his hands low. Very accurate, awesome timing. He'll do a great job of landing straight pinpoint punches. He loves to use a lot of feints, misdirection right before he throws. His straight right down the middle. He throws a lot of flashy kicks. Moves backwards, likes to clip you as well as you walk forward. He'll go over the top and around on your defense. He has a good job of placing his punches. Has a nice jab, very good head movement. Able to slip and move out of the way, get back into his range effectively. He needs space to do what he likes to do, and when you pressure heavy and close down that space, he really struggles. He showed great toughness and resolve in his last fight. He gassed out in round 2, and then he was able to bite down on his mouthpiece, get a second win, and win that round 3. But he has questionable takedown defense, but he actually showed improvement in his last one. He actually took down Terrion Ware. He took him down with a double leg and a body lock. He keeps his hands low, and he could be tagged, especially when his movement slows in the later rounds. He's still very young in his career, and this is easily the best person he's ever faced. Andre Soukhamthath also has flashy techniques, but I think he's much more technical than O'Malley. Very nice flying knee KOs, has a nice spinning back fist. But I think he has much tighter defense, and just much crisper boxing. He has a great jab. He was able to drop Alejandro Perez 4 times in their fight. Nice straight as well, and has big KO power. He knocked Luke Sanders out bad in their previous bout. It does seem like he can coast sometimes when he feels he's ahead or he has an advantage on you on the feet. But he was much more aggressive in his last fight. He was able to get the finish. Fantastic takedown defense, and he doesn't grapple much. Great speed. He has better cardio than O'Malley and much more experience for his top guys. He's never been finished in his career, but he has lost some close decisions. He's being given a golden opportunity here. He's fighting a green guy with a big name, and he should have the advantage on the feet. And early on, he needs to mind his P's and Q's and not get hit with anything big, anything crazy. And I think as the fight goes on, his crisp striking will start to hurt O'Malley. I think he's going to land a lot of jabs, a lot of hard straights, and I think O'Malley's going to get tired and get a little too wild, and I think that Soukhamthath's actually going to want to get the late finish in the 3rd round. And I'm going to go with Andre Soukhamthath to derail that hype train a little bit. And then up next we have Frankie Edgar against Brian Ortega, man, in an amazing fight. You know, Brian Ortega, 5 consecutive finish victories. He's never out of it, man. He's never out of it. You could be beating him 2-0, and just like Tavares, Moicano, and Guido were, and he can come back and win in that 3rd round. And he's known for his jiu-jitsu, man. It's some of the most dangerous in the UFC off his back. Fantastic with triangles, 4 triangle finishes in his career, amazing guillotines, and his squeeze is just unreal. He was able to catch Moicano in a guillotine when he went for a takedown, and able to catch Cub Swanson in a standing guillotine as well. And he forces people to become uncomfortable and shoot against him because he has extreme forward pressure on the feet, amazing chin, great cardio. He throws hands predominantly. He has a solid jab, nice overhand right and uppercut as well. He'll throw body and head kicks if you have to run to try to cut off the cage, and he can get tagged with overhands and straight punches and takes them very well. Moicano is attacking body head and finishing combinations with kicks extremely effectively. And Ortega doesn't check leg kicks and he just takes them. Great step in knee against Clay Guida and really turned it up in that fight to get the finish. He doesn't really have offensive wrestling, and while he was able to get Cub in a standing guillotine, Cub's always had problems with grapplers, Frankie Edgar also beat the shit out of him. Ortega sometimes gets content to strike, and he'll be losing that striking battle. He switches stances and shoots out his jab from both stances. And when he gets a hold of the neck, man, the fight's basically over. He's undefeated. He's a big danger to Frankie, man. But Frankie's never been finished. He's a black belt under Ricardo Almeida. He's one of the best MMA grapplers in history. Frankie's one of the most accomplished UFC fighters in MMA history, quite frankly. Former light heavyweight champion, featherweight title challenger. Won 7 out of 8, so he has no signs of slowing down. And great boxer as well, good footwork, good variation on his punches. He'll go straight, throw nice overhand rights, and inside leg kick. I think that'll be a big factor in this fight, that big inside leg kick. Does a good job using good footwork to get his back to the center when it's against the cage and back to his range. He's fought someone I thought was very similar to Ortega and Charles Oliveira. Oliveira's long, throws a lot of straights, a lot of knees, a lot of uppercuts, big forward pressure on the feet, and has those sick chokes and nasty guard as well, man. And Frankie was putting some hard moments in that fight. He got hit with some hard shots, got put in a guillotine at the end of round 2, but the round ended. And Frankie just needs to not let Ortega get a hold of that neck when he goes in for a takedown, because he has had that happen to him a couple times. And he will dart in with 3-4 straight punch combinations, and he never gasses out, man. In round 3, he'll push the pace. Elite wrestler, takes down almost everyone he fights and drowns them with ground and pound. He butchered Yair Rodriguez with elbows in their last fight, and he's very tight on the ground. On top, he does a great job of keeping his arms tight, raining down heavy ground and pound. When he gets put in a submission, he's extremely calm. He doesn't panic, works the defense. And this is a fight where I just believe that Frankie Edgar doesn't get finished and Ortega doesn't win rounds. Frankie will win a decision, 29-28, 30-27. I think he's just going to have better boxing, going to land the better, cleaner shots on the feet, and he may take down Ortega at the end of the rounds. But Frankie will get it done, and Frankie will get the win by decision in that one. Up next, you have Chris Cyborg against Yana Kunitskaya, and this is really a formality. Chris Cyborg is coming to save the show, headline another pay-per-view. Yana's 2-2-1 in her last 5. Decent striking. She could throw nice straight punches. Tries to stay long. But in this fight, I think her sole game plan really is going to be to try to hold Cyborg against the cage. We saw that was one of the few things that Holly Holm did effectively against Chris. And Yana did a lot of cage grinding in her last fight. She throws nice front kicks. That's a solid array kick. She has a nice spinning kick. But they're very... you could see them coming from a mile away. And versus Tanya Evinger in their 2 bouts, she was taken down very easily. She attacked off her back very well in those fights. In the first one, she got an arm bar, but it was turned to a no contest. The referee kind of fucked that one up. And the next fight, she was attacking with a hard guillotine, nice arm bar. And she had a solid inside heel hook, a solid arm bar in that first round, but Evinger was able to survive. And after that round, Kunitskaya was gassed, man, and she kind of just turtled up in the middle of that second round and gave up, man, gave Evinger the submission. And Kunitskaya struggles with overhand rights, forward pressure. And I think really, like I said, her only game plan is going to be to hold Chris against the cage and try to survive, try to gain some cage time. And she might have early success of doing that, maybe like the first round, first 2 minutes of the fight. but I just don't see that working long term. Cyborg's a beast, and she further kind of proved it, cemented her legacy with a dominant decision against Holly Holm. Much better composure and cardio now. Great overhand right, which Yana struggles with, and she has a lot of power. Does a great job of countering with it after her shots, too. Nice inside leg kick, nice body kick. She'll go higher with her kicks as well, and she eats shots like cupcakes, man. Just walks through them. Doesn't get tired. Fantastic cardio. And this is just way too much for Yana, man. She'll get dropped with the overhand right in round 2 and finished by a ground and pound TKO. And going to go with Chris Cyborg, and that's just basically a formality in that one, guys. But for my most confident pick of the night, I'm actually going to go with Jordan Johnson. And for the parlay of the week, we will say to go with Andre Soukhamthath and Jordan Johnson. And the lines haven't came out yet, but if we're going to think of a, maybe a upset parlay or something in terms of that, maybe we could go with a Andre Arlovsk, Hector Lombard, and maybe something like that, Andre Arlovsk and Hector Lombard as a parlay. I think that could be a pretty good one as well. But alright guys, subscribe for more. I'm going to be continue to give you these good breakdowns, and started off the year very good, guys. We've been really picking it up and really want to try to get to 200 subscribers, so that's my next goal. So hopefully you guys can help me out with that, and hopefully you guys like the show. Leave some feedback, leave your comments, and thanks for watching.